Sometimes a movie just clicks for you. I'm a big fan of the first Kingsman movie. It was a well thought out parody on the spy movie genre. And with its fast paced action and its creative camera angles in the fight scenes, the movie managed to stand for its own. The second movie, Golden Circle, does the movie uphold to its predecessor? Nah, but it still kept its Kingsman charm. There were just some problems, like that the story was fucking stupid. And I know the first movie had this lady who fought with her grip of blades, and there were people's head exploding. But the second movie was stupid on the next level. I mean, after Harry had been killed, a super secret subfraction of the Kingsmen conveniently had a device which can magically cure a person who was shot into the fucking head. Like, how should I believe that this wasn't pulled out of the writer's asses? The worst part was that the story have nowhere to go from this point. So when I hear that the prequel is coming, I was pretty hyped up. Also, the movie is playing during the First World War, which is a time period close to my heart, because I'm a person who may or may not have a picture of
Többiek
Arnold
jelenleg nem
Ferdinand
elérhetőek.
as my
Kérem, hagyjon
wallpaper on
üzenetet
the
a
desktop.
sípszó.
Anyway, when the film finally came out, excited as I was, I went to the cinema. So, were my expectations fulfilled? Yes, they were. Haven't you read the title of the video? This movie fucking slapped. Seriously, why don't people talk about it? I know, Batman just came out, but still, why don't people talk about it? Those few who talk about it on the internet had some interesting points. And the most common one was that the movie was sort of separated into three halls, which were thematically really different. The thing is, most of them said that they like how the movie ended up being anyway, and I decided to explain you guys why such a negative thing was received by many as a positive one. You see, it's absolutely okay for a plot if it changes from quick adventure to Russia into and from that back to on my way to save the crown. If the movie, by this sudden change of themes, tries to make a point, or in this case, what we received was the most badass looking scene I saw a long time ago. Hence why I will talk about this part of the movie and try to convict you to give Kingsman a try. Because as it turns out, there is just one plot relevant scene in this whole segment, so if I manage to cut it out without making it awkward, this video might be spoiler free. And that's a rarity in my case. But if you want to jump into Kingsman blindly, you can leave the video and then watch it later. With that being said, a little bit of context. There is this guy called Conrad who wants to fight in a war. His father is like, no, and because he's an influential man, he tries to keep his son as far from the actual bloodshed as it's possible. But Conrad can't with his father pulling the strings, so he swapped his place with this Scottish dude. So Conrad, although skilled in fighting, thinking the death for your country is the most valiant death you can die, never really killed a person before, and have absolutely no fucking idea what a hellscape awaits him at the trenches. The action starts with the British spy running back to the British after he extracts the German cipher. Unfortunately for him, he ends up being shot, and thus volunteers are needed for a rescue mission. The movie is smart enough to not tell, but show us a rule which apply in these trenches, and that being, if someone is spotted in the no man's land, everyone start blasting. That's important, keep this in mind. Conrad, ready for action, with a handful of men and his captain, went into battle. Enter the fight itself. And oh boy, may I immediately tell you how awesome all of this is. Like, this scene could be so much worse. They would find the spy captured by Germans, or they find the spy and then get attacked by Germans. You know, this video game logic. But by creating this Monty Python-alike situation where you can clearly see why the enemy is here and what he wants is the same thing as our heroes, the film emphasizes the chaos and disconnection of the troops from their headquarters. That's just genius. Both sides, seeing the situation they're in, decide to put down the guns and face each other face to face. That's right, kids, show us are the way. Hearing these guys hold their scream due to pain they endure is such a metal. Speaking of soundtrack, due to obvious circumstances, the music in background is quiet, just a silent rhythm, which becoming louder and louder as the tension, for love of Cthulhu, the tension rising up. The other thing about this scene is that this scene is basically a payoff for a scene in the first act, where Conrad is taught the art of the knife fighting. He's told that fighting with knives have no means in a modern age. But as you can clearly see, those lessons were worth it. Also, it explains why Conrad survived this intense fight. Otherwise it would look that he has a plot armor, which he clearly has, but the whole plot armor thing is just a question of into what do you decided to disguise it. But we're not ending here. Conrad's first kill is coming, and considering the German equipment, that being that they have this gas mask, a lazy writer would let Conrad kill an unknown masked soldier. But we don't do lazy writing here, and so Conrad will look to his enemy's eyes as he kills him, letting this atrocious act of murder resonate even more with the audience and Conrad. Conrad's squad start to get his ass kicked, so the captain, seeing they lose, decides to shoot, saving at least Conrad. A bullet storm is unleashed. Conrad, the sole survivor, devastated by the terror he just witnessed, absolutely regrets every thought he had about war. Unfortunately for him, he is still trapped in the middle of the no man's land. And I'm really glad that the film tackles this topic. You see, it's maybe by the way we think nowadays, but the truth is, people back then really saw the war as an adventure, an escape from a shallow life, which was absolutely wrong, and it's despiteful that the governments back then used this so they can send young men into the meat mile. So yeah, stories like this were pretty common back then, and maybe, just maybe, some people may take lessons from this. Conrad finds the spy in one piece, okay, maybe not, but he can still run in. Oh fuck, okay, maybe not, but you get the point, he lives. And with the rising sun, Conrad runs with his Conrad on his back to the trenches. Guns are blazing, mortars are blasting, and seeing Conrad in his Scottish kilt, which absolutely doesn't look like skirt, is so epic. Yeah, the mortar hits him, the wounded spy is dead, but Conrad still managed to do it, bringing the cipher to the British. And then this happened.
Is that your best Scottish accent?
Okay, so that was it. The film is pretty much consistent in its quality, so everything I was praising applies on every scene in this movie. And if you already saw the movie, yes. I have no idea how to end this video. That's the end of the video. Bye.